Part 2. InuYasha. InuYasha is one of my favorite animes, along with Yu Yu Hakusho, along with Rurouni Kenshin. I want to get those episodes too. I love Dragon Ball Z. That was the first one that I've ever gotten into, including also with Dragon Ball. I got into Gundam, the Gundam ones where they represented different nations, Neo Japan, Neo France, and they had different Gundams that they would compete with. So those are some of the animes that I've gotten into. My uncle actually got me into Bleach, which is really cool. And my friend Hector, he's watched up to 400 something episodes of it already. And InuYasha is a manga, and it's also an anime. The anime I love. I want to get the whole season, the whole series, and the 4 movies that they made. InuYasha is about the Sacred Jewel of 4 Souls. Sacred Jewel of 4 Souls will grant any wish to the one who has it, who has the completed jewel. And what ends up happening is InuYasha and Kikyo. It starts out 50 years ago from the time that it begins 50 years ago. Oniguma was a bandit who gave himself up to demons so that he can be mobile and bestowed with their power. Oniguma wants that jewel of 4 souls so that he can become the most powerful, and he's evil. He becomes a demon named Noraku, who takes on a human appearance. Noraku loves Kikyo, but he loves Kikyo for his own perverted thing. I don't know what that whole thing is. But it's really, Oniguma was a very dark character. Noraku was a very devious character who never gets his hands dirty, but he always manipulates situations to where other people will do his dirty work. What happens is, InuYasha decides that he will become human. Kikyo, as guardian of the jewel, decides to give it to him at noon. Noraku transforms himself into InuYasha to come to Kikyo at night and says, give me the jewel now. She says no, because it'll be perverted, it's evil, nighttime is an evil time, let's wait for the morning. Noraku, parading as InuYasha, says, well, how about at first light? So Kikyo comes at first light and sees InuYasha, who is not InuYasha but Noraku, and he fatally injures her. Hours and hours later, InuYasha goes to the place where they're supposed to meet with the jewel, and he sees Kikyo with her bow drawn at him, and he believes that Kikyo betrayed him. Kikyo believes that InuYasha betrayed him, so he goes and attacks the village and takes the Shikon jewel. The Shikon jewel is what it's called. So he goes and takes the Shikon jewel. Kikyo's there. She binds him to a sacred tree. She could have easily finished him off, but she did not. So that's the backstory. 50 years later, Kagome, the reincarnation of the priestess Kikyo, she lives at a place where there's a well, and her grandfather has sacred sutras, and it's basically like a shrine where she lives. She has a younger brother named Sota, and her mom is there. They don't tell us much about the father there, but what ends up happening is a demon, a centipede demon, Mistress Centipede they call her, grabs Kagome because she has the jewel hidden in her body. And she is transported back to the feudal era because the Mistress Centipede wants to take the sacred jewel from her. She awakens InuYasha. Kaede, Kikyo's little sister, has a necklace of beads that will control him. Kikyo tries to give it to him before they both meet, but she decides not to. So what ends up happening here, that's a little bit of backstory too. But what ends up happening is Kaede takes out the necklace and does a prayer, and it forms around his neck. All Kagome has to do is say, "Sit, boy," and he sits. InuYasha is also a half dog demon, so that's kind of funny that she tells him to sit and he just sits. So they fight off Mistress Centipede, and InuYasha and Kagome now have to guard the sacred jewel. What happens is a bird demon, like a vulture demon, burrows itself into a person of substantial stature and takes the jewel away from Kagome when Kagome's kidnapped and brought there and whatnot. He takes the jewel from her. He's being controlled by that vulture demon, and once InuYasha discovers that behind the armor the bird runs out, the guy is a cadaver being manipulated, so he falls down, and the bird flies off with a sacred jewel. Kagome takes archery in school, I believe, and Kikiyo was also an archer too. So hence how she's the reincarnation of Kikiyo. She shoots it at the bird and misses, but something happens where like one of the feet falls off or whatever else. She hits one of the feet and she ties it around the arrow, and she knows that the foot is going to be drawn to the bird. Now she rescues someone from drowning because she knows how to swim, and because most people in the feudal era did not know how to swim, they called her a sea demon or something like that. And in this universe, demons are both good and evil. There are good demons and there are evil ones. So she throws so after all of that, there's a ruckus. So they're watching her, and she ties the foot around the bow, around the arrow. It shoots at the bird, and it breaks the Shikon jewel into millions of shards. So as those shards are scattered throughout Japan, and now they must recover them. And after so many of them are together, one of them eats the Shikon jewel, and it fuses together in their body. So it's, I guess, a way that they can account for how much of the jewel is actually there. So they meet some interesting people along the way as they're searching for the Shikon jewel. Naraku is obviously prevalent throughout this whole thing. InuYasha wants to kill Naraku after he finds out that he was the one that turned them both against each other. Kagome is necessary because she can see shards of the Shikon jewel. The others cannot. InuYasha and Kagome can also go through the well. The others cannot. There are 3 more others. First they meet Shippo, a little fox demon, a mini demon, probably not much taller than this. He's about 7 years old in human years, and he looks like a fox, but he also has a human-appearing face, and he has paws on his feet, which I think are cute. And he is basically kind of mischievous, as foxes are known to be. And he has these illusions, like a spinning top that will spin you around and dizzy you. And while he gets away, he has foxfire, which is a blue flame that doesn't really hurt you, it just disorients you while he can get away. And Shippo is the smallest of the crew, but he is also, I guess, the most pure-hearted of them, and he's really funny. Shippo is just kind of like that cute little brother that the crew has. InuYasha's always picking on him. Kagome is always telling him to sit whenever he is doing a little too much to Shippo. And Shippo is just a really he's small, but he really hates the fact that he's not as strong as InuYasha. But he brings something to the cast that is his own character, and whoever is voicing the character does a really good job. The character of Shippo is rich, and I really like how they have his character. The next person they meet after Shippo, which Shippo meets them while he is trying to avenge his father, and he wants the sacred jewel shards. He appears as an illusion to them first because he wants to avenge his father's death at the hand of the Thunder Brothers. The Thunder Brothers are 2 pretty bad demons. Episode 10 of, I believe it's episode 10 of InuYasha, but you can Google that. I won't talk any more on that episode, but it's a really cool one. Then they meet the lecherous monk Miroku. Miroku wants to kill Naraku also. He wants to kill Naraku because he has a wind tunnel in his hand, and his father and his grandfather both got sucked in their own wind tunnel and died, of course. He doesn't want this to happen to him. So, this is a lecherous monk and also an unscrupulous one. In his first appearance, he, quote, vanquishes a demon, but he also robs the house of the noble lord that has that demon in it. And he's also lecherous as well. a lot of times when the next main character is Sango that they meet, and that completes the cast. But what ends up happening is usually he'll say something tender to Sango and then stroke her butt, which of course afterwards Sango smacks him, and there's a big red mark on his face where she smacked him. But he's kind of like that kind of monk. But as it goes through, he becomes a help to InuYasha in battle, and he doesn't lose his lecherous ways whatsoever. But later on, I believe he and Sango actually do have children together, because he's always saying, "Will you bear my children?" to every pretty girl he sees. But spoiler alert. Oh, sorry. But that's one of them. That's one of the awesome. He's also drawn very well too. Even though he's a monk, people would say, "Moroku, you know you're going to hell, right? You're going to hell. You did this," and but that's one of the ways that one of the things that I like about Moroku is that at least, well, not that he's going to hell, but at least he's real. He's real. He's a good character, and he's invaluable in battle, and he becomes very trusted to InuYasha, and the main weakness, his kryptonite, is women, and he becomes ensnared in sometimes beautiful demons or beautiful women, beautiful demons who take on the appearance of a beautiful woman. So that's what ends up happening with him too, is he always gets into trouble, and he has Sango around to help him out of that sometimes. And speaking of Sango is a demon slayer. She came from a whole village of demon slayers, and one day they were summoned to a castle, Naraku, in order to rid themselves of the demon slayers. These demons were becoming paranoid with that village, so they had the best. They had a decoy demon that was sent to this one place, and then they all attacked this village. Naraku set it all up, and Naraku also had Kohaku, her brother, kill the other demon slayers, and he almost killed Sango, but Sango survived. He wanted to use her to take on InuYasha, because when she got back to the village, she would see InuYasha and Kagura is a wind sorceress, dance of the dead, where she manipulates the dead bodies, and then when she crushes her fans, their blood splurts out, and that's when blood would be all over InuYasha, and she would see that and go after InuYasha, or at least that's how it was done at another time too. But that's usually how it would happen. With this case, I believe something different happened in this case. He actually said that InuYasha attacked a village with a horde of demons, and they wiped out the village, and he tried to seek the Shikon Jewel, but the Shikon Jewel was already given to Kikyo much earlier, but he wanted to use that so that he can get rid of InuYasha without getting his hands dirty. When Sango finds out about this, she fights InuYasha, and then when InuYasha tells her exactly what happened, she joins them to kill Naraku, and her and Moroku have a tension going on as well too, and the Kagome and InuYasha the same thing. Sango is a brilliantly written character too. What I somewhat don't like is that they don't use her as much in the anime. She's a fierce warrior too, and they kind of play on that conveniently sometimes, or conveniently. That's one of the things that I kind of don't like about how they portrayed Sango's character. But she is a character. She's a great character in her own right, and she also has a demon cat named Kilala. It's spelled Kirara to Western tongue, but it's Kilala in those series. And that she's a small kitten, but she grows in size whenever they have to go over long distances, and she has like fire under her paws, which helps her glide on the air very well. And throughout the whole anime, they become closer and closer, and as they go through more and more, you see these characters start to shine, and they become they become like you can't wait to see the next episode. In fact, I downloaded just about every episode. I have to get 1 through 40, and also the final act episodes when they take down Naraku. But there's also movies, 4 movies. One of them, I believe, Naraku is featured in. But the one thing that I really love about this anime is it's lighthearted. It's got filler episodes, and many of them do to kind of take a break from the action. But when they have the action, it's really good. There's so many different great villains, but Naraku is of course the overlord of all of them. But some of the things that they fall into and some of the things that they stumble across are really cool. And the filler episodes kind of tie a little bit into the next adventure, and it's just a great show. And if you like anime, definitely try out InuYasha. I want to get a review to take a look at Rurouni Kenshin, because Batosai the Manslayer, he used to be an assassin, now he's not, and he's trying to turn himself around. He takes over a dojo with Miss Kaoru. He helps her run it. And they run across a little boy I believe he wants to be a samurai, or his grandfather was a samurai, or something happened with a samurai in his family, and therefore he wants to take on that legacy. And this is during, I believe, after the Meiji era in that specific anime. And in InuYasha's anime, it's more like the feudal era, so they don't really tell us what time, but demons and humans coexist. And it's a really nice anime to take a look into. I don't really know if what kind of, basically if you like lighthearted kind of stuff filled with action and adventure and just cool characters, you'll like this one. If you're a fan of Ranma 1/2, I don't know if you might like this one too. It's by the same author. Daryl, my boyfriend, he does not like InuYasha. He loves Ranma, but he hates InuYasha. I don't know why either, and I like both, so it doesn't matter to me. But InuYasha is definitely on the top list of my animes because I like the way that the characters are drawn, and I love the way that he has that white hair and the dog ears. Like, I love that too. And his brother Sashomaru is definitely a great character too. And Sashomaru, even though he hates humans, he has a human girl with him, and he inherits a sword that he thinks is useless, and he wants a sword that InuYasha has. But Sashomaru, Jaken, and Rin, they grow into a little family as well. Sashomaru, I like him because he's kind of like Kurama in Yu Yu Hakusho, very calculating, very strong. And he's got that quiet reassurance, and he's very calm. InuYasha, however, is quite different. He's very hot-headed, and I like how the contrast goes with them too. But Sashomaru is definitely a great character in his own right. Jaken just adores Sashomaru, and Rin also too, even though she's human. And even though Sashomaru despises humans, he sees something with Rin. And I think it's kind of like a paternal really like big brother kind of thing that he never had with InuYasha. So it's really cool. It's a really cool anime, and it explores so many different worlds and so many belief systems. Well, not exactly belief systems, but it does a great job. So rate, comment, subscribe. What are your favorite animes? How do you feel about InuYasha? Have you ever seen it? If you haven't, definitely check it out. If you did, comment below.